be happy to respond to any question you may have or Kevin or our friends from the United States Census Bureau.
Governor, could you explain your concerns about the possibility of Ohio losing 1 or 2 congressional seats and what that means for Ohio?
Well, Ohio, according to the last census, I'm told, was the 435th. We held the 435th seat, and there are only 435 seats in the entire House of Representatives. So it is, I believe, a certainty that we will lose at least 1 congressional seat following this next census. And we are in great danger of losing 2 congressional seats. That would diminish Ohio's representation in the Congress for the next 10 years. And so it is hugely important that every person who is a resident of our state is reached and counted. I hope that if we are successful in counting every resident, that we may prevent Ohio from losing a 2nd congressional seat. Sure. Sure. I mean, we have a requirement in the Constitution of the United States, and I'll ask my legal counsel here to confirm or to deny what I'm saying, but the Constitution requires that every resident be counted, not that every citizen be counted. So it's consistent with our constitutional duties. And secondly, I would say that even individuals here who are not citizens are in many ways receiving services which are costly to the state. And so I think it's hugely appropriate that we try to reach every person within the borders of our state.
And this oath that you're talking about, the confidentiality, does that include, for example, that if a census taker stumbles upon someone who doesn't have papers to be here legally, that they are, even though that might be in some people's minds a crime or a legal infraction, they are not allowed, they're not even allowed to tell immigration officials about
I think that's accurate, is it not? The census is a very special kind of activity. As I said, it is mandated in the Constitution of our country, and because of that, it has certain protections surrounding it.
Am I right in thinking that movies like Mansfield?
You know, I'm going to ask our Bureau of Census members to validate my answer if they can, but I mean, that just seems logically to be the case. But
historically, that is the truth.
Historically, that is the case.
So are there any estimates as to how much Ohio is in federal funding if, basically the decrease in population and so on?
Well, our population is not decreasing, but our population is not increasing as rapidly as it is increasing elsewhere. And because there's a set number of members of the House of Representatives, when the population grows more rapidly in the South or the Southwest, those states pick up representation and have additional seats. And states like Ohio and New York and Pennsylvania and Michigan, some of the older states across recent years have tended to lose representation. So I don't have any precise numbers regarding how much money would be lost in terms of actual dollar amounts, but it certainly would have a serious and meaningful impact on the resources coming to our state.
Governor, with the counting of undocumented residents, I mean, although I know pretty much everyone agrees that there is a cost to some of them, so they should be counted. But in terms of counting them for apportionment purposes, I know Republicans in the past have argued, at least in Ohio, that maybe Congress should do something to change that so that they are not counted, and that would in fact cause us to see an increase in the number of congressional seats that we have. They didn't count, say,
Yes.
Undocumented folks living in California and Florida and Texas and those places.
Yes. Well, our obligation is to follow the dictates of the Constitution, and I think that argument can and probably will be carried out within the federal government as it has for the last several years. That probably will happen in the future.
Do you agree with it?
I do not agree with it because I believe when a state has a resident, there is a cost to that state. And I mean, here in Ohio, we have, I would venture to guess, a number of undocumented migrant farm workers. And if a child of such a worker becomes ill and goes to an emergency room, that child's going to receive services. So I think this is an argument that is best confined to the House and the Senate of the United States of America, but it has nothing to do with our obligations during this census process.